The androgen receptor, probably the most important part of all of your hormones. I wanted to make this video different. Everyone talks about testosterone, everyone talks about estrogen, but I'm going to talk about other stuff today. How you've been lied to all this time about hormones, and how testosterone is useless unless you prioritize the androgen receptor. So, right before I talk about those stuff, let me explain how testosterone is formed, because I don't think a lot of people know. So there's two ways. There's one way that I'm not going to explain, because most of your testosterone doesn't get formed this way. It's only when you do quick stuff like sprinting and you boost your testosterone really fast. It's through a different process. But this process starts at your hypothalamus, the brain, which goes to the pituitary gland. I can't really say it good. Which releases LH and FSH. And that pretty much makes testosterone. But one step a lot of people miss is it doesn't just make testosterone. It has to bind to the androgen receptor for it to actually work. So, let's say you got 2,000 nanograms. If none of those bind to the androgen receptor, you will have no testosterone activity in the cells. So that there are people with normal DHT, normal testosterone, everything, normal hormones, and these are males with XY chromosomes. They're completely normal, except one thing. The androgen receptors don't work. They come out with vaginas. So the point is, if you don't prioritize the androgen receptor, then there's no point. You want the benefits of high testosterone. And there's two things you can increase with the androgen receptor. The density of the androgens, so how many they are to bind to the testosterone. And then we've got the sensitivity of those androgen receptor molecules. To make this really simple, let's say there's two androgen receptors. The first one is not sensitive. Testosterone molecules here, androgen receptors here. Unless it's this close, it's not gonna bind. But one androgen receptor could be here and it still binds to the testosterone. That's what basically sensitivity is. But it's mainly genetic. But I'm going to tell you a couple stuff that will destroy your androgen receptors and stuff that you could do to increase your androgen receptors. First thing, cortisol. Cortisol is the joke hormone. You want low cortisol. On the lower range, not very low, because that has other issues, but just on the lower end. Because remember, testosterone competes for cortisol. So it starts with cholesterol and it either gets turned into cholesterol or testosterone. The more stressed you are, the more of the cholesterol molecules will get turned into cortisol, not testosterone. Unsaturated fatty acids block the androgen receptor. This is why omega-6 seed oils I talk about destroy testosterone. It's because it actually blocks the binding of the androgen receptor and actually makes it bind to the estrogen receptor. So minimize seed oils, canola oil, soybean oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower oil. Don't eat that shit. Another thing is don't bust too many nuts in one day. I know this is weird and you should not be masturbating a lot anyways, but let's say you got girlfriends or whatever, don't be fucking too much because that can cause sexual exhaustion. And in rat studies it took up to 7 days for them to recharge. So how do you increase the androgen receptors? First thing, like I said, nucleus overload. Increase the myonuclei in the cells. I know this sounds like random terminology you don't understand. Train a muscle every single day for 30 days. That in itself will increase the androgen receptors. And just training in general, high volume, high frequency. And L-carnitine actually increases the androgen receptor a lot. You can supplement with L-carnitine, but I don't recommend it. The absorption rate might be less and they might just lie about the doses. So, where do you find L-carnitine? Red meat. So what I'm saying always goes back to the basic foods that increase your androgen receptors and testosterone. Eat loads of red meat. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is technically a hormone. Not even a vitamin. Take 10,000 IUs a day if you don't live next to the sun. And even then, still supplement with vitamin D. That is the only supplement that you should take, no matter what. The other supplements, either bullshit or you could get it from foods. Of course, like I talk about zinc, you could supplement with zinc, but you eating red beef will be a 2 birds in 1 stone. You will get your L-carnitine and you will get your zinc. Before we end the video, I want to talk about DHT for a bit. Because I made a YouTube short saying something about DHT, and people say, it's the balding hormone, oh, block DHT. Without DHT, you don't even have a dick. DHT can be up to 5 times as more powerful as testosterone. And the reason why, like we talked about, androgen receptor, it's way more likely for the DHT to bind to the androgen receptor than testosterone. And I fucking laugh when people say, oh, DHT is useless, it doesn't even build muscle, it just makes you bald. If you fuck around with the most important hormone for sexual development, you are going to pay for the price. First of all, with the DHT causes balding, that's actually half true. If you have the genetics for it, then yes, it will make it a bit worse. If you don't have the genetics for it, you won't bald. Lifestyle and other dietary factors and inflammation and shit. So it's not just DHT. And if you say, oh, DHT is the only hormone that causes hair loss. No, testosterone in itself could actually cause hair loss in high enough doses if you have the genetics for it. No one would crush their testosterone levels. And the reason why DHT gets demonized for balding and not testosterone, because male pattern baldness is an androgen receptor. And DHT obviously activates the androgen receptor more, 5 times more powerful. DHT has effects on health, erectile function, your ability to get hard, sex drive, anxiety levels. And yeah, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to make this whole video about DHT. That has been the end of this video. Let's become strong men again in a weak society. Bye.